Hi, I'm Dave Baker, and I'm here to talk to you about the comic books that are on my pull list this week. Star Wars number 3, Helpless Great Warrior number 2, All New X-Men 37, Miles Morales Ultimate Spider-Man 11, Howard the Duck number 1, and Casanova Acedia number 2. First book up this week is Star Wars, issue number 3. This is the first book that Marvel's putting out after they've gotten the rights from Dark Horse, now that Disney owns Star Wars. This book is a big deal because it's kind of setting the stage for what happens in between Star Wars New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back in the new continuity that's Disney owned because they've jettisoned all of the Dark Horse stuff, so no more expanded universe. Hooray! The book is really well paced. It's kind of a heist book movie, kind of, where the rebels go to this planet to destroy this factory, and they kind of succeed, sort of, haphazardly in patented Han Solo style, and then have to escape with Vader chasing them. Overall, the book is really well paced. Only downside is, since it's licensed comics, sometimes John Cassaday has trouble drawing some of the actors, or just doesn't feel like putting the time in because it's hard. Overall, though, the book's super good, and it's totally worth your money, and you should buy it. Book number 2 this week is Helpless Great Warrior number 2, coincidentally enough. The book is by Madeline Flores, and it's kind of this small, cute grape character who's a Conan-style adventurer in this mystical land full of demons and monsters and stuff. It's appropriate for all ages, it's super enjoyable, and it's kind of catered towards little girls, which is really neat because there's not a lot of books being published for that demographic. The kind of central storyline is about Great Warrior being summoned to combat this great evil that at a certain point in the past came and kind of tried to take over the world. It's this giant purple kind of Barney looking demon thing. Only problem with the book is that it doesn't read very well in single issues because it's a super low density panel word per balloon count, so you kind of read it in 5 minutes and then are like, oh man, I wish there was more. So this is probably a wait for trade book, even though I'm going to still keep buying it in single issues because that's something that's important to me, because single issue sales contribute towards whether there is a trade paperback in some cases. So yeah, Helpless Great Warrior number 2. Book number 3 this week is All New X-Men 37. Brian Bendis' kind of flagship X book has been my favorite for his entire time on the X-Men, much more so than Uncanny. This specific issue centers around Emma Frost and Jean Grey going to Madripoor as a kind of team-building exercise where Emma Frost turns off Jean Grey's psychic abilities but leaves her telekinesis, sends her into a building where a drug deal is going on, and basically says, sort it out. It's a standalone issue, which is really cool because it means you can jump on and read it without a problem, and the art specifically in this issue is amazing. Mike Del Mundo's illustrations are great. They're super painterly and atmospheric, and they really give Madripoor this kind of otherworldly vibe that it really should have, as opposed to just like buildings. There's like mutants everywhere, and everything's kind of grime covered. It looks like Blade Runner, but populated with like kids from, you know, Freak Show High. It looks great. This, for me, is the book like regaining momentum and really kind of getting back on its right foot. I really dug it, and yeah, it's a buy for me. Next book this week is Miles Morales Ultimate Spider-Man number 11. This book is one of my favorites, or at least it has been. Brian Bendis' writing on this book has been great, as always. The problem I had with this issue in specific is that it's a lot of plot, which I know is kind of a strange thing to say, but as far as Ultimate Spider-Man goes, I'd really just like to see Miles hanging out with his friends, like talking. The issue where he told Kate Bishop that he was Spider-Man was one of the best ones because it felt so real and, you know, dialogue-driven, which is what Bendis does so well. This one ends with a giant cliffhanger, which I don't really care about either, because it reveals a major Marvel villain as being behind this whole Hydra plot to kidnap Spider-Man, which again, don't really care about, especially because in one issue the book is ending. That's right, issue 12, last issue of Ultimate Spider-Man until Secret Wars happens, and then they bring Miles back in the normal 616. So unless you're really invested in Ultimate Spider-Man, I would say it's probably a pass, but I'm going to keep reading it just because there's only one issue left anyway. Next up this week, Howard the Duck number 1 by Chip Zdarsky and Joe Quinones. Absolutely wonderful book, super funny, extremely charming. It does Steve Gerber proud. The book is exactly what it should be, and it's just more proof that Marvel editorial knows what they're doing and DC editorial really doesn't. The pacing of the book was great, the writing, the joke structure was really funny. The only thing I'm not super jazzed about this book is that the cliffhanger at the end, or the reveal, is that Rocket Raccoon is going to be in it, and it's going to be Rocket and Howard doing stuff, which normally I would be super jazzed about, but it just feels really like, guess what? Guardians of the Galaxy, the movie, is popular, so we're going to put Rocket in everything. But yeah, the book is great. You should buy it. Finally this week we have Casanova Acedia number 2. Acedia is the 4th volume, so that means it's kind of standalone. The first 3 volumes make a trilogy. This one's by itself. It chronicles Casanova trying to figure out who he is, because he has amnesia. He thinks he's someone named Quentin Cassidy. He works for a billionaire in this timeline. The book is all about an international super spy who kind of jumps in between parallel universes. This timeline, he works for a businessman named Emile Boutique, who also has amnesia and thinks that he may have had some ties to the super spy life. So they make a pact to figure each other out and see who they are, which is a really cool kind of interpersonal narrative for having a relationship with someone. The book is a little bit slower paced than the previous incarnations, which is something that I kind of have mixed feelings about, because one of the things that I personally respond to so much about the initial few arcs of Casanova is the fever pitch at which the narrative functions. The book also has a lot of caption play, kind of 70s style captions, which I could kind of take or leave. It's a weird experience because this is the first time that I've not really been head over heels in love with a volume of Casanova. But I'm waiting for the entire thing to be complete so I can read it in one sitting, and maybe it'll feel more like the cast that I know and love. For me, though, it's still definitely a buy because the book is amazing. Thank you very much. That's this week's episode. If you'd like to find more of the comics that I write, you can find them at theactionhospital.com. Make the producer put a thing right there. If you'd like to leave a comment about a book that I should be reading, please do. If you'd like to subscribe, that'd be great, because Joe needs the money. And next week I will be reading Moon Knight, Cyclops, Batgirl, and some other assorted things that I don't remember at the current juncture.